근데 이거 SKT가 정면으로 드래곤 가져오기엔 분명히 무리가 있거든요.
그렇죠. 사이온이 지금 저 포지션 잡고 있고 이쪽 지역 시야장을 잘해요.
땅이죠.
정면으로
들어갑니다. 사이온 위치 대박.
우르고 탈수 있나요?
또는 대박.
그리고 옆구리 제대로 쳤는데요?
간 죽고
이거는요.
맞아 죽고. 너무 빛이 나요. 기회가 됐습니다.
Welcome guys, and this is your Tuesday League Digest. In today's digest, I want to analyze the reasons why Griffin was in a rut, and I believe that in the future, other digests might be based on the same idea. But even though it might be possibly repeated a little in the future, I believe that the reason Griffin lost is the very key to understanding today's meta. This meta will also bleed into some of the key viewpoints of the MSI as well. So the game I picked out of the two losses was the first one against Gen.G. Now up front, I just want to say Griffin is back 100% and even more. I've monitored both games against Hanwha and Damwon. They're 2-0 sweeps against both teams that are playoff contenders. Their past two games have been flawless, focusing on what makes this team great. And really, it's their tight early to mid-game macro. In Game 1, the picks and bans didn't strike me as very noteworthy on either side, both teams taking solid compositions overall. And before I dissect the dimensions of Griffin's mistakes, I just want to clarify and emphasize that Gen.G's picks and actual plays were simply very strong. It's not like Griffin played terribly and Gen.G was just lucky to be there to pick off on that opportunity. With that being said, let's go ahead and delve into some of the mistakes that Griffin made. The order of my list of Griffin's mistakes are ranked based on its importance. First and biggest mistake was Griffin's macro. Griffin, as shown in the past two games, are dominating in the early to mid-game macro. As some of you might be aware, that by the time Griffin was 8-0, there have been only two teams that were able to get a single tower against Griffin. Most teams were Griffin's victory without even a single tower handed over. The strength behind this macro lies on Griffin's focus on objective spawn timing. On the blue side, they take a strong jungler, keeping in mind for possible engages at the herald timing. With Chobi's mid lane almost always having priority, add this with Lihen's clockwork roam at exactly 10 minutes into the game when the herald spawns. With a strong jungler, number advantage put forth by Lihen's, and Chobi's mid priority, they are almost guaranteed to take down the herald, with or without possible previous successful ganks by Tarzan. With the herald, they use it on the top tower, creating 320 gold advantage on sword, and consequently taking down the top tower also leads to about 2,000 to 3,000 gold lead for the team in general. Now if the enemy team chooses not to contest and go for the Drake instead, usually Griffin willingly gives up its first Drake. But now fast forward 6 minutes for another Drake to spawn, the next one. With a 2 to 3k gold advantage on Griffin, they are very unlikely to give up the Drake for free. Now it's their time to seize control of the game. This is most likely when Griffin prepares his first team fight on the second Drake. If the enemy starts to take down the Drake, Griffin with its powerful mechanics in teamfights engages and takes a victory. All in all, the point of Griffin's macro is priority in lanes and tight control of the objectives so that when the enemy tries to take the objective down, even on a gold disadvantage, Griffin uses this opportunity to snowball their gold lead. This is what makes Griffin so powerful, in that their macro isn't based on a moment-to-moment shot calls or decision-making by the 5 members, but the frame of their macro that is designed beforehand that is almost exactly applied the same in all of their games. Thank you all for watching. This is the end of today's digest. Tomorrow's episode, I'll be delving in the actual game between Griffin and Gen.G to figure out which specific parts of this macro they fumbled, unlike their usual performances.